Hello to everybody who will come through, who will see us on YouTube. Just hello in general. It is 2023. Much like you, I have no idea how we got here, but we're going to celebrate anyway. We are, I've been waiting for this interview for a while, and I won't bother to go ahead and um, do this lady's intro because it would take the entire show just to get through just a little tiny bit of her life, but I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself. But let me say that it is beyond an honor and beyond a pleasure to be able to introduce this woman as Tesoro, to be able to introduce her at all, because she's been on my radar. I mean, in case you can't tell, I'm just straight fangirl in here. Okay. So without any further ado, because I'll just sit here and babble like an idiot for the next 30 minutes about this woman and her craft. We are beyond blessed to have on our stage this evening Jane Spoken Word. Jane, how are you, sweetheart?
I'm good, thank you. And thank you for having me tonight.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start you off with the question we start everybody off with, and you can interpret it however it is you need to interpret it. Why poetry and why now?
Well, poetry has always been a part of my life since I was pretty young. And I think because I grew up in the 60s, my poetry just is naturally political. And right now it feels like we've gone backwards several steps. And so my political side of me has just gotten more intense and more needed. I feel like we're the poets, we're the word against the machine. We are the ones who can make a difference.
Okay. Talk to me about your role, particularly your role as a woman, when you started and now in the poetry world. Has it changed? Has it gotten more necessary? Has it gotten less intense? What's the...
Well, the first time I ever performed on stage with musicians, way back when, I was a teenager and I got booed off the stage. So that was the beginning. But it was like, I would not be deterred. My message needs to be heard. And I'm coming from the revolutionary poets, the last poets, Stevie Wonder, the Doors. All of the music of my time was revolutionary. It was all get with the program. We need to elevate humanity. So it's just been onward since then.
What's the hardest thing right now as far as poets are concerned?
Well, maybe I don't speak for all poets, but I do think that we who are performing poets have been affected by COVID, meaning there's so many Zooms that no one wants to pay us for our craft anymore. Everybody wants it for free. And it's how I make my living. So that's been a detriment to, although I've met a lot of great poets on Zoom, it has been a detriment to how I make a living.
Tell us a little bit about, Lisa, I promised these folks a peek at your resume. So I'm going to let you give us some of the highlights and then ask you what's coming next, what's coming after.
Well, the highlights are always, I get to perform with Albie on bass, and he's an amazing bass player and lends such depth and emotion to all of my words. So that is an honor and a privilege that I get to have all the time. And I never take it for granted. My most favorite gig ever on the planet, for all time, for the future, for the past, was a gig that the maestro Cecil Taylor invited me to spit with his band at the Whitney Museum. Yes, so that was an honor, a privilege, a gas, so much fun. the maestro was a wonderful human being, and when he asked me to spit my poetry because he believed that people needed to hear my words, that's elevation for life.
Pretty much, yeah. Where does one go from there?
Exactly.
Okay. What's coming up for you next year or this year? I keep forgetting where we are, but
Mm. Well, I have a couple of gigs booked. I have 2 books coming out, one really soon called Be Poetic, and then another one probably I'm editing it now, so probably 2 months, maybe 3, called Love and Light. And I wrote it for a very good friend of mine who was the singer of the Divinals. Her name was Chrissy Amphlett. And they're just poems that are very different from everything else that I do. They were poems to elevate, poems to shed a light, poems to make her feel better while she was going through some very difficult times.
okay. Talk to us about what it's like to be on the road as much as you are. I know what the experience is like, but for some folks who have never done road time,
Well, for me, I only travel by car. So yeah, everywhere I go is by car. I can't be in a closed place with people wearing a fragrance, which lets out buses, trains, and planes. But it's great on the road because you get to meet all kinds of people. You get to listen to music the whole time, poetry or whatever you're doing. And because I travel with Albie on bass, he's the driver, I'm the passenger. We get to rehearse verbally on the road. It's just a great experience.
so you're saying that we can't get you to Europe anytime soon.
Not unless I take a boat or something and stay in my room.
I think that kind of negates some of the experience of a cruise, but we'll work it out.
Word.
Favorite poets, favorite singers, or are they like you the same thing? Are they like me? For me, they're the same thing because I spent all morning actually this morning explaining that the line between poetry and music is artificial. So
I
when somebody
agree.
says, "Who's your favorite poet?" It's like, might be Stevie Wonder, might be Jill Scott, might be
Yeah.
Rumi, might be Gwendolyn Brooks. I mean, there's no line in my mind.
Yes, and for me, my poetry is very much tied to the music I grew up with in the 60s. So a lot of it in the beginning, when I was very young, early teens, it was folk music. So it was Buffy St. Marie, it was Dylan, it was those kind of people. And then as time went on, it became James Brown and the Doors and the Last Poets, Gil Scott Heron, John Lennon. Hendrix, their lyrics to me was pure poetry. So that's where I come from. There is no, like you said, there's no delineation for me. It's all the same. Great word is great word.
Which kind of leads into my next question because I've worked with usually teachers,
Mhm.
but a fair amount of folks who say that rap is not poetry and that it's not music. And so I'm interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, there's a huge difference between rap and hip hop to me.
Okay.
And people will agree or not agree, but hip hop is a movement. Hip hop is a way of life. It's a message. And rap, more to me, is commercial. It's using word. I see a prop. It's using words to just kind of excite and buzzwords to like make you jump. It doesn't have a lot for me. It's really the commercialization of hip hop. But in words of my son, hip hop will never die.
True enough. Um, Now, the last time I spoke to you, I think, you were in New York.
Mhm.
Okay. And somebody told me, I can't remember who, that you live like either next door or a block away from New Eurekan,
I do, right next door.
right next door. So
Mhm,
you've seen everybody go through.
mhm,
Toss us some names here.
mhm. Well, Miguel Algodin was the first one who ever invited me up on the stage at the New Eurekan Poets Cafe, so I would be remiss not saying his name. We ended up being great friends. He was a wonderful person. Used to hang out on our kitchen table, drinking wine, smoking joints, talking about all the poets that he knew. I mean, the stories that he told of all the New York beat poets was just mind-boggling. So, and one of the cool things about living next to the New Eurekan is before COVID, all the slams that they had and all the poetry events that they had, the poets would line up half an hour to an hour before the show, and that would bring them by my stoop. So if my window was open, I could hear everybody downstairs practicing and going over their lines and reading their phones. It was a very cool thing. I dug it.
Now, when you're at home,
Yeah.
are you able to play the New Eurekan still?
The New Eurekan is really just starting to open back up
Right.
since the COVID thing. So they've been doing a lot of fundraising right now. They're trying to redo the building because the building's a little bit dilapidated. So the performance space is great. The office space downstairs is coming along, but there's a couple of floors upstairs that need some work. So it's been mostly fundraising stuff. But I've been talking to La Bruja, and hopefully some
Okay.
stuff is gonna come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by the time I fly out there in April or May, you're going to be ready to jump on that stage and tear it down, right?
Tear it down. And if it's not gonna be at the Nuyo, then we'll make it happen somewhere else around the other corner.
Okay, that'll work.
That'll work. We'll set the place on fire.
That's pretty much what I had planned. So, it's good to see that we're of like mind here. Anywhere in the world to do what you do, where?
I think I would like to go to France. I would like to go to Paris. One of my very good friends here has a lot of poetry friends in France. And she keeps saying, "Oh, I wish I could bring you there. I wish I could bring you there. My poet friends would love you." So that would probably be there. And then I could spit a little bit of my French and show off.
Ooh, okay. So we've got about 2 minutes before I go ahead and just let you do your thing.
All
And there's
right.
so much I want to ask you that it's hard for me to kind of like narrow down, what I want to ask you. But um, one of the things that I'm always curious about with other performance poets is, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing? Or can you even conceive of doing anything else?
Nah, I can't. It just is always in there. Whether I was performing it or writing it or putting out books or anything, I would still be writing poetry. I would still get these thoughts in my head that I'm very much like paper and pen. So I have a little pad with me and words come up, thoughts come up. I got to write them down. It's just what I do.
Well, let's take this into the realm of imagination. If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing, do
Okay.
you think?
Um, I would be a bass player. I
Okay,
love the
okay.
bass.
I hear you. That'll work. Now, the last time somebody asked that question, they said, "Well, if you couldn't do this, what would you do?" I said, "I'd play jazz piano. There's got to
There
be
you go.
something." And they said, "Oh, you play piano?" And I said, "No, that's not what you asked me. You said, what
Right.
would I do?" So
All right. Well, in the next dimension, we could make a band with you, me, and propaganda.
that will definitely work.
That would work.
Okay, my dear. Well, now is the time for you to shine. I'm going to spotlight you, and you've got 28 minutes to do your thing. If in the
28.
meantime, to y'all who are listening live here, as such, if you got a question for Jane, just put it in the chat and we'll try and make time so that she can answer it before we sign off. Jane, darling, do you, boo?
Thank you very much. And thank you guys for showing up. Very cool. This is going to be the first time that I write from my book. So these are all pieces from Word Against the Machine. I write. I write to shine a light. I write to open a mind. I write to encourage you to be kind. Every day I am overwhelmed by the fact that so many people, predominantly white folks, are so fucked up in their prejudices. Is there no hope? Every day I'm blown away by how much waste people create, polluting Mother Earth without hesitation as they pollute our planet for future generations. Is there no hope? Every day I agonize over the absurdity of politricks, messing our lives with autocratic swamp tricks. Living in this time of bizarro insanity, democracy has given way to denocracy. I write to calm the anguish. I write to make a peace wish. I write to hopefully shine a light, open a mind. I write. So then before I would go to the next piece called Questing, I would suggest to propaganda that you puff and pass. All right. All right, so we're moving on to Questing. And these are all pretty much from the beginning of the book. Questing. Embarking on a quest. My visionary process of poetics to explore human realities. A rejection of the sacred cows of Bible-thumping technicalities. A condemnation of the distorted machinations of jihadist idiocracies. Acknowledging the depth of evils perpetrated by white sheets in the night. A trail of tears, devastation, destruction, slavery, rape, mutilations, murder, mass incarcerations, hatred. Sorrowed by the purposely inflicted pain of one human upon another, I weep at the heartlessness of it all. My function as the poet is to navigate everydayness, dive into the abstract of experimental inventiveness, venture into the unsuspected, unexplored otherness, quench this thirst for creativeness, exorcise the practice of human separateness, conjuring the spirit of comprehensive calmness, imaginating alternative futures of oneness, celebrating kind-heartedness. My responsibility as the poet is to introduce a new speech of peace and prosperity, to atone for the atrocities of humanity, escaping criticisms of a so-called right-wing moral majority, underwhelmed by the political correctness of the bleeding heart left-wing minority, liberated to generate awakening with visions of vocalic imagery, released from the superficial simplicity of mindless, endless hate that is wedded to a concentrated doctrine of religious states, absolved from past sins of our obscured fate, we contemplate, questioning the abandonment of how and when we became not me, them, not us. Intellectually disoriented by the unintelligible hurting of minds, revealing the non-anticipated time, curving words, staining vowels, dripping metaphors, engaged in abstractions, committed to shine, to Black Lives Matter, to Standing Rock, to dreamers, to lovers, to youth on the march, to women on the move, to humanity, to inspire tribal resolution, where I and he and she and me and the rest of yous, including you and us, become we. And that is my quest. And with that, we will move on to, I love this piece. It's one of my favorite pieces. Winter has come to America. I turned on, tuned in, and dropped out in the 60s. You can call me a freak, but don't you call me a hippie. I spent the summer of love smoking dope and dropping acid. I protested a war that lasted and lasted. Released from the confines of society, sisters and brothers stood collectively for equality and dignity. Because you know we fucking know. We demanded an end to war. Hell no, we won't go. We demanded civil rights and equality. We marched for all of humanity. And you know the music of my time spoke truth to power. So grooving a slide, the family took us higher. And RESPECT demanded Miss Aretha, Queen of Soul, while Eve of Destruction sang dark truths untold. And while Dylan Warren were just a pawn in their game by any means necessary, Malcolm X did proclaim. And I'm black and I'm proud, testified James Brown as Jimmy lamented, why'd you burn your brother's house down? And as Marvin sang, mercy, mercy me, when will it end? John Lennon pleaded, give peace a chance. And float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rhyme the greatest of all time, my hero, Muhammad Ali. We were a social movement, youth on the rise, in a war for equality and respect for all lives. The women's movement defined our objectives. Feminist ideologies demanded equality of sexes. The Latino movement of United Farm Workers Union improved farmers' pay and working conditions. The Chicano movement organized students. Education, not eradication, brought basic school improvements. The Black Arts movement used art as a weapon. The Black Power movement championed pride and freedom. Angela Davis, Eartha Catwoman Kit, Nichelle Uhura Nichols, Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Nina Simone, and still, idiocracy reigns. If you are other in America, do you do time every day? If you are other in America, is it a squeeze play? Living your life on an everyday beat, always on guard, avoiding white heat? Winter has come to America. We have been trumped. Whitey is blindly stumbling through life, feasting on Fox, feeding his white. He's scared. Scared you'll take his guns, his God, his whiteness. So he hides his fright in distorted righteousness. Marching with tikis is a frightening aberration. Rivers of blood stain our dawn with damnation. What happens to one happens to us all. And like dominoes, we all will fall. Silence is death. Peace, yo. One of my favorite pieces. All right, the book is intense. The book is just filled with all of this, which is, I think, is why I felt the need to the next book to be Love and Light. This piece, as we move on, is called Masters of War. God bless America and all you masters of war, professing coded words of hatred from your core, leaving all freedoms of speech behind, demonizing dissenters that dare to speak their mind, You and your chattering Jesus talk, you treat them so unkind. Are you blind? They can brainwash social consciousness, distort the story, burn the books, shade words to blind our justice, shapeshift when we look, feasting on fear and ignorance, aiming to control the human race, spinning, ever spinning, always spinning bullshit in their place. It's a disgrace. And as all the fair and balanced Americans impose their moralistic, end of days, futuristic, endless bullshit, determined to put our minds to their God's right, on bended knees they pray each night. Searching, always searching for a pawn to game. You should be fucking ashamed. That's right, ashamed. Freedom is a fight. Freedom is a chore. And as you pledge your allegiance to God and country, bondage in America thrives at its core. And the corporate prison for profit pushes a win in the war. At the depth of our American soul, black, brown, yellow, red, white, off-white, women, babies, men, children, and everything in between. Freedom is what we all search for. But shit ain't changed at all, you see. From the 4 dead in Ohio to the strange fruit still hanging from imaginated trees. We all have a dream that lives beyond the mechanisms of our fragile X. And that is Masters of War. Oof. Take a breath. We all need to take a breath.
I was about to say, because you know,
Oof.
one of the reasons I love watching you perform so much is that you never ever come to play. Not once. And that level of passion, that level of dedication, that level of commitment is a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
Thank you.
So, yeah, when you get your breath back, babe, we're ready for you.
All right. I'll go with this piece. I like this piece too. It's simple, but it says it. I am a poet. I am the air that I breathe. I am the words that I think. I will take you to the brink. Don't blink. Drink it in. Because poetry is revolution. Word is the sound solution. Free you from the institution and the delusion. I am ghosting the machine. I will wake you from your dream. I will wake you. Because I am a poet. I pen lines with a stroke. I spit rhymes when I toke. Inner fires I will stoke, cause I ain't no joke. I am a poet. And you know poetry is revolution. Word is the sound solution. Free you from the institution and the delusion. I am ghosting the machine. I will wake you from your dream. I will wake you. Because I am a poet. I float bars when I write. Open doors, shine a light. Free your mind, free your might. You are what you think. You think what you are. And poetry is revolution, and word is the sound solution. Free you from the institution and the delusion. I am ghosting the machine. I will wake you from your dream. I will free you from their scheme. I am what I know. I am what I sow. I am a revolutionary poet wrapped in a straitjacket, and I will free you from their scheme, and I will wake you from your dream, and I will wake you, and I will wake you, and I will wake you. Peace. Yes. So how we doing on time there, Tracy?
Babe, as far as I'm concerned, you got forever, but realistically speaking, you got about 10 minutes.
Okay. All All right, then I'm gonna end with pretty much a piece that I do wherever I perform, and it's my tribute to Gil Scott-Heron. Here we go. I am part of the conspiracy that conjures truth and knowledge, and I am in this physical life born to a seeking voyage. The truth above all else brings a new reality. Examine the examiner, question the questioner, because you see, you mustn't believe their lies. You have tuned in, plugged in, bought in, opted in, texted in, and Wi-Fi'd in. But there will be no email notification when it begins, because, my brothers, the revolution will not be televised. And no, no way, my sisters, the revolution will not be digitized. The revolution will not be televised, digitized, matrixized, or any otherwise. It will not be. We got bushwhacked because Chads weren't mechanized, and they gave us a war with no body bags, so toe tags can't be visual lies. Brought fear to panic in true political style, fattening up their war machines, smiling all the while, spewing visions of global democracies, politicized alibis, freedom fries, and gossip trivialities. As voices tweet in the faraway East, here in America, the censoring beast is alive and thriving, spying, prying, and flagging what you're posting. They have you Facebook, Twittered, and Googleized as you dream your life politicized. You answered wise with smart lies, blindly believing that freedoms are a guaranteed prize, blindly believing that the world of the digitized is for private eyes. Unwittingly occupied and compromised, you got your cable TV and your digital Blu-ray to high-speed deliver their delusions your way, to keep you lost in confusion, stuck to illusion. Is it or is it not the same old thing in this our America, land of the free, where the orange man resident with a wig hat on lurks behind the curtain perpetrating his con, where pigs shooting down brothers all across our nation, while whitey's wasting black folks is on newsfeed rotation, where the cheesehead governor blocked the sites united, where Facebook friends are no longer cited, where dissenting opinions and thinkers of free are amended and deleted. They simply cease to be in this, our America, land of hypocrisy. The revolution has been cloaked with lies as time flies. It's time to rethink time line by line, break out from the tides and realize that the revolution has been disguised. And the revolution will not be brought to you by MSN, CNN, or some bullshit called Fox. And the revolution will not be delivered to your door by Verizon, Time Warner, or Cox. Brothers and sisters, there is no map to identity. When you question your reality, a crucial detail will arise. The revolution ain't about your flashy bling. And the revolution ain't about your G-phone thing. And the revolution will not happen between some lies. And the revolution will not happen between Ms. Jones' thighs. And the revolution will not be televised. And the revolution will not be digitized live, because the revolution is not online. The revolution is in your mind, and it will be poeticized. The revolution will be poeticized. It will be, it will, it is, because we are the revolution. Peace, y'all. Yeah.
Open up your mics and throw this lady some roses.
Thank you guys for
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Lady
It's an
Jane.
amazing book. If you don't have it, you're wrong.
I've been had it, bro.
Yes, poet. Rose Gold, it was a pleasure to have you at my kitchen table talking poetry.
Oh, it was an honor, ma'am. It was an honor. I will cherish that for the rest of my life.
Me too. And propaganda, just the people that are here right now, my heart just is full. I love you guys.
I'll be back there for Governor's Island. for
We'll
sure.
see you then.
You and me
maybe
both.
I will get to do
Really?
something.
When
Yeah.
is it? When is it?
The last
Summertime.
weekend of July. Last weekend of July.
Oh, I got time. Okay.
I was about to say, yeah, I can do that.
Y'all gotta come for that. We got a party. We'll have a whole party at the 7A around the corner from the New Year weekend.
Ooh, I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure New York is ready. But that's okay.
We'll
Not
have the
quite
medics
sure.
hanging outside.
I think that's a
They'll
good
just have to
thing.
get over it.
You know,
I'm sorry,
the-
Jennifer, say it again.
They'll just have to get over it.
Damn straight.
the paramedics, and maybe a little extra bail money because
No, I don't go to jail no more. I'm too old to go to jail. I'm too old to run from the police. I give you the words now.
okay.
Oh,
So,
gosh.
if y'all have questions, now is the time to ask. We still have a few minutes here. In the meantime, do a little, housekeeping announcement. If you would like to pass the hat, then send your donations to poetswind@hotmail.com. 90% goes to our artist, 10% comes back to Tesoro so that we can keep the lights on, as it were. Immediately after this is Tesoro Now. For those of you who don't know, Tesoro Now has 2 open mics.
Yep.
This is the second one, Pen and Sword, and through some mischance of fate, I'm featuring tonight. So if y'all would like to come through and watch me cause not as much trouble as Jane, but a similar amount, then come on through. It will be on this same. We're gonna shut down this room and then come right back. So
Cool.
you don't have to look for another code number or anything else. Jane, is there any way that we could get like one more?
One more. Yes, we can. Let me see. Okay. I like to end my sets with these. This one. If I were the junk man in Junkie Land, cleaning up all the messes that life left behind, I would paint the horizon and polish the moon for you alone. And I would sprinkle stardust above your dreams and fill them with waves of wonder and joy. If I were the junk man in Junkie Land. Peace, yo. Thank you so much. It's so great to see your lovely faces. I'm honored. Thank you.
Absolutely, my dear. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who are here, for those of you who will see this later on our YouTube channel, excuse me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting our artists and their words. As I tell everybody every week, I am through messing with time zones, trying to figure out where everybody is and what season of the day it is. So wherever you are, have a fantastic rest of whatever.
Yep.
Have an absolutely fantastic weekend. And we will see you next week. And if we don't see you then, we will see you somewhere around the way. Y'all take it
My
light.
heartbeat.
Thank you, Jane.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.